'Cause I am yours and you are mine. 'Cause I am yours, you are mine. You are mine.
Dearly beloved in Jesus Christ, in the first reading, the mysterious figure of the Son of Man, whom Daniel had seen in his dreams, is entrusted with dominion, glory, and everlasting kingdom. The second reading portrays Jesus as King, to whom all glory and dominion belongs. And the Gospel narrates the scene in the Pilate's court that explains what sort of king Jesus is. In gist, the liturgy of the day gives us the real picture of Jesus' kingship. Hence, it is apt to meditate on the true kingship of Jesus as we proclaim to the world Christ the universal King. Once, well-known culture had a burning ambition to create the greatest statue of Jesus ever made. He began in his oceanside studio by shaping a clay model of the triumphant Jesus Christ. The head was fashioned and his arms were upraised in a gesture of great majesty. It was his conception of how Jesus would look, strong and dominant. "This will be my masterpiece," he said on the day of the clay model was completed. During the same night, however, a heavy fog rolled into the area and sea spray sped through a particular opened window. The moisture affected the shape of the clay so that when the artist returned to the studio in the morning, he was shocked at what he found. The droplets of the moisture had formed on the model, creating an illusion of bleeding. The head had drooped, the facial expressions had been deformed severely, and the arms had dropped into a posture of submission. It has become a wounded Christ figure. The artist stared at the figure, agonizing over the time wasted and the need to begin all over again. Then, inspiration came over him to change his mood. He began to see this image of Christ was by far a truer one. So, he carved these words in the base of the newly shaped figure, Christ the humble King. Dear friends, people of Jesus' time imagined Messiah to be an empirically powerful king, as the artist in the above narration thought. But then, Jesus came to the world with the humble face of the kingship. And that kingship we will celebrate today. Today, we proclaim a king who has no earthly territorial kingdom, not lived in a magnificent palace, did not live on delicious food, but born in a crib and ate at the generosity of a few pious women during his journeys. The evangelist Matthew narrates the mockery that Jesus had to face in his passion. He recorded, "Waving a crown out of thorns, they placed it on his head, and a reed in his hand they spat upon him. And kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, 'Hail, King of the Jews.'" Matthew 27:27-31. Though it was a deliberate mockery of Jesus, in fact, in these few sentences, we understand what sort of king Jesus is: a suffering and humiliated king who saved the world from sin and slavery. The first reading explains the vision of Daniel. The vision consists of four beasts coming out of the great sea. These beasts include a lion, a leopard, a bear, and a monster. In the following verses, these beasts are interpreted as the four great monarchs and monarchies that rule the earth. Note that none of the four were given dominion and eternal kingdom, but to the one who looked like Son of Man. According to modern scholars, he is the Messiah, Jesus Christ. But remember, the book of Daniel is apocalyptic literature. Hence, it cannot be taken literally. Therefore, Jesus is universal king, but not in the sense of dominion and power, but a king of love and service. Once Pope Benedict XVI remarked that Jesus' kingship is not based on human power, but on loving and serving others. Hence, we who are his subjects are also called to love and serve, thus establishing God's kingdom on the earth. In the second reading, the kingship of Jesus is explained in the terms of resurrection. Jesus is entitled here as firstborn from the dead. He is the first begotten and firstborn from the dead. That is to say, he is risen from the dead, Lord of life. Hence, he is the ruler of all the kings of the earth. Because every earthly king dies one day, but does not come back to life as Jesus did. The Gospel of the day is a vivid self-attestation of Jesus regarding his kingship. He says, "My kingdom is not of this world." He is humble king. Through his humility, he attains his kingship. St. Paul speaks about this humble king in the letter to the Philippians. He said, "He humbled himself, therefore God exalted him above everyone, and at his name every knee should bow in heaven, on the earth, and under the earth." Letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verses 7 to 10. Therefore, Jesus is a king who was and who is completely different sort of a king. On this day, we have the responsibility to imitate this humble king of ours and show a true Christian's face to the world. As a whole, on the solemnity of Christ the King, let us take to our heart. First, Jesus is not earthly king to rule over anyone, but a spiritual king who rules over our souls. And the second, let's be humble subjects of this humble king in this modern scenario. Let God bless us all.